April. Bouncy Castle. It was April, and the pigeon brought the ants a parcel. "Who sent it?" the children asked. "My friends, the red ants, sent it from the forest next door," the queen ant explained. They opened the sizable parcel to reveal a bouncy castle. "Hooray! Let's blow it up!" the little ants cheered, and they all started to pump the colourful contraption. The castle soon grew to its full size. The queen ant asked Dr. Owl to call everyone to the meadow. "Hey everyone, come and jump! Come to the ant castle!" Dr. Owl shouted. No one wanted to miss the chance to bounce on the castle. The only one to miss out was the snail boy, who had gone to visit Snail Sam. Soon after that, the sky darkened and a storm began. The little beetles all ran into the ants' house. Then the rain turned to hailstones, and all the little pieces of ice punched holes in the bouncy castle. By the time the storm had passed, the bouncy castle was as flat as a pancake. Just then Berry arrived home. By now it was too late for him to try the bouncy castle because it had completely deflated and lay flat on the top of the hill. "I miss the bouncy castle," Berry said with a sob. "Don't be sad. We'll stick it and blow it up again," Dolly reassured the snail boy. Berry did not say a single word, but just set off home with his head hung low. Then he got straight into a hot bath to warm himself. He got his bath toys out, but even his favourite whale could not cheer him up. The others all thought hard how they could make Berry happy again. "We could make our own bouncy castle and put mattresses on top of each other," the bee suggested. "That won't work. They'll all slide apart and we'll all fall off," Stanley sulked. "We could stretch a sheet between the trees like we did when the kite escaped," said Flutter. Not bad, but we've done that before." "Anyone got a new idea?" Dolly asked. "I have," shouted Bubble. "Once, when Dolly's flowers dried out, I asked a friendly cloud to make some rain. Maybe this time I could ask it to let Berry jump on it for a little while." "But Berry can't fly. How will he get up on a cloud?" Balthazar puzzled. "We'll take him up," said Dolly. And so Bubble flew up to the largest cloud and discussed the plan with it. Meanwhile, the friends all hurried to Berry's house. "We're going to take you bouncing," Flutter told the snail boy. "Just hold on tight," said Dolly. And they picked him up and flew up high in the sky. The cloud happily let Berry bounce about on it and then waved to Dolly when it had had enough. "I think that will do for now." The little friends thanked it for helping out and then flew Berry back down to the ground again. "That was really super, thank you," Berry said with a grin, and he hugged his pals. It took the ants several days to mend all the holes, but they eventually finished. And this time, Berry did not miss the chance to have fun with the others. February. Fancy dress at Stanley's. February had arrived, and it was nearly time for Carnival. The little forest friends were discussing what costumes they would have. It's a shame that the fancy dress ball can only have one winner, Bubble announced unexpectedly. Last year, Sophia won with her sunshine costume and it was very pretty. But I also like Stanley's dice costume and Eddie's chef's outfit. I agree, Dolly added. What if we change the competition this year? And we dress up in groups. The girls could be angels and the boys devils. Or we could be fruit and vegetables, the ladybird girl explained. What a splendid idea! And so they agreed that the boys would be fruit and the girls would be vegetables. Then they decided who would be what. The boys: Stanley, pear; Eddie, peach; Balthazar, grape; Berry, apple; Bubble, strawberry; Morris, fig; the woodworm, cherry; Charlie, pineapple; Frank, lemon; the firebug, apricot; Alfonso, banana; Dr. Owl, melon; the fireflies, blackberry, raspberry, blueberry, blackcurrant and plum. The girls: Dolly, carrot; Flutter, potato; Leapy, onion; Zafia, squash; Rosita, cabbage; Iris, broccoli; Betty, aubergine; the ant queen, pumpkin; Odette, cucumber; the star girl, lettuce; the fireflies, beetroot, radish, pepper, tomato and kohlrabi. A week passed and the day of the ball arrived. The little beetles arrived in their new costumes at Stanley's house. Dr. Owl's watermelon costume was a great success, but they all loved each other's costumes. Then Snail, Sam and Katie arrived. Hi, we decided to come along too. But Snail, Sam and Katie lived on a faraway island, and they had no way of knowing that everyone had come as a fruit or vegetable. Sam was dressed as a basketball, and Katie had come in a pencil costume. We need to alter your costumes, Stanley stated. Alfonso immediately knew what to do. I know! The yellow pencil can be a sweet corn, and if we take the black stripes off the basketball, it can be an orange, he suggested. That's a super idea, the friends agreed, and they quickly transformed the new guests' costumes. Now Katie could join the vegetables with her sweet corn costume, and Snail Sam's orange outfit meant he could join the fruit. They danced until late in the evening, until Christopher the Canary arrived with a big basket of donuts. They all ate a donut and then set off home. Stanley laughed at the sight of the flying watermelon. Then Dr. Owl shouted, "Look, snowdrops!" Alfonso and Bubble rushed over and stared in wonderment at the first flowers of spring.
Berry's picture. One cloudy afternoon, Dolly the ladybird girl took out her brushes and paints. "I'm going to paint a rainbow," she decided. "Good idea," Berry agreed. "And I'm going to paint a bunch of flowers." They both got straight to work. Dolly carefully painted the coloured lines of a rainbow, and Berry worked hard on his bunch of flowers. He painted 3 tulips, a harebell and a daisy. "I only need to paint a ribbon and it's done. I have to hurry because Stanley, Balthazar and Bubble are coming over this afternoon." But just then, Dolly knocked a glass over that was standing in the middle of the table, and water poured all over Berry's painting. The lovely, colourful painting began to run and the lines all smudged. "Dolly, you ruined my painting." "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident." "But it's still ruined." Berry sulked and stamped out of the door. "I'm going home." "Berry, wait! Let's try and fix it," Dolly said, sounding rather unsure, but the snail boy didn't even look back. In the meantime, the clouds vanished and the sky cleared. When Berry got home, he put his soaked painting out in the sunshine. His picture very soon dried, but now it was crinkly and blotchy. Berry stared sadly at his painting, and then he gave a big sigh and threw it down on his bed. "Balthazar, Stanley and Bubble will be here soon. I need to tidy up." The door soon opened and his little friends appeared. "Hi, Berry." "We're here." "And we brought the cards with us too." "Come inside." The snail boy invited them in and they sat around the table. Balthazar shuffled the cards, Stanley dealt, and they started to play. Bubble was soon out of the game. He was strolling around the room and he noticed the picture lying on the bed. He picked it up and stared at it in awe. "Goodness me, Berry, it's beautiful. Did you paint it?" he asked inquisitively. Berry was surprised and stuttered. Yes, I painted it." They all began to question Berry. "Was it your idea? Will you show us how you did it?" Stanley quizzed. "How did you make it so beautiful?" asked Balthazar. Berry just shrugged and said, "Yes, it was my idea. It's no big deal. I'd love to show you how to make one." Just then, Dolly walked into the house. She was carrying a large plate of cakes and offered it shyly to Berry. "I baked these, Berry. I'm sorry that I ruined your picture." The others all stared at Berry in confusion. Mumbled Balthazar. "So it wasn't really your idea?" "It wasn't my idea. It all happened by accident," Berry began. "Dolly knocked the water over, the colours all ran and the painting went all wobbly. I put it out in the sun to dry and then I decided to keep it and not throw it away." "It's a good job you didn't throw it away. Could I have it? A lovely bunch of flowers like this would look just lovely on a flower beetle's wall." "Of course you can have it, Bubble." "I'm sorry that I got so cross." "I'm not upset with you, Berry. I brought my rainbow painting with me and I'd like you to have it." "Thank you, Dolly. I love it. I'm going to put it on the wall." "Would you like to join our game?" the snail boy asked Dolly. "I'd love to. And we can eat cake at the same time," the ladybird girls said with glee. Fairy cards. Flutter the butterfly girl had a favourite card game. There were 16 cards in total, with pictures of pretty fairies in yellow, dark blue, pink, green, orange, red, purple, and light blue dresses. No two cards were alike. The girls played with their fairy memory cards all the time. Stanley the stag beetle thought of a horrid joke to play. "I could scribble on all the cards," he thought naughtily to himself, but he didn't dare do it. And so he tried to talk Balthazar into ruining the pretty cards. "Balthazar, wouldn't it be funny to scribble all over Flutter's cards?" The silly bumblebee gave a sneaky snigger and started to scribble on the cards with a dark green felt-tip pen. He drew moustaches, devil's horns, forks, and a devil's tail on the pictures of the pretty fairies. The butterfly girl saw her cards that afternoon and screamed in horror. "What happened to my lovely cards?" she asked in a panicky voice, and Flutter began to sob. "What a horrid thing to do! Who could have done such a thing?" Dolly asked, sounding terribly shocked. "I know who did it. Balthazar's the only one with a dark green pen," Zephyr said in an angry tone. "And I saw a green mark on his hand." "Did you do this?" Berry asked gruffly. "That's not how it happened." "Then how did it happen?" "It's all Stanley's fault. It was his idea."
"But I didn't scribble all over the cards."
Flutter sobbed and Reggie Squirrel gave her a comforting cuddle.
"The one who thought it up is naughty and the one who did it,"
Reggie Squirrel snapped strictly.
"You're both naughty."
"That was a really stupid joke, boys. Just imagine if we burst your football," Zephyr added. "How sad would that make you feel?"
"You're right,"
Stanley admitted.
"Flutter, we'll take your cards and see if we can get the scribbles off them. OK?"
"OK," sniffed the butterfly girl. Stanley and Balthazar strolled sadly home and got straight to work trying to fix the cards they had scribbled all over. But the harder they tried, the more mess they made. The rubber made a hole in the paper and holes appeared all over the place. "Berry, help! We couldn't rub the scribbles off and we've made a hole with all the rubbing." "That's because you can't rub felt-tip pen out. Let's go and ask Dolly for help."
"Dolly, help! We can't fix the cards."
"I'm not going to help you. It was all your idea, so you have to put it right." "Don't be so unfair. Please help, because Stanley and Balthazar really do want to make things better again." "OK, come on in." The three boys sat down at the table. They can't be fixed." The boys just sat and looked sad. "We have to think of something else, and I've already got an idea. Let's make new cards." Dolly placed pieces of white card on the table and took out her felt-tip pens. The boys cut the cards out and Dolly tried to copy the fairy pictures. Then Balthazar and Stanley carefully coloured the drawings in. All 8 fairies were soon ready, and of course there were 2 of each.
"You draw so nicely, Dolly."
"Now give them to Flutter and say that you're sorry." "Flutter, look! We've made you a whole new set of cards."
"Dolly drew them and we coloured them in."
"Please be friends with us again." Flutter flicked through all the cards and a smile spread across her face. "Thank you," she said and invited the boys into the house. They were soon joined by Berry, Dolly and Zephyr, and the friends played until late with the new pack of cards. And they were all the best of friends once again. Blueberries. One sunny autumn day, Berry and Dolly went into the forest to pick blueberries. Their friends Flutter the butterfly and Eddie the potato beetle went with them. "I'm going to pick the most blueberries," Eddie announced. "Look, this bush is full of ripe blueberries," the little snail said. "I'm going to pick them all." But Eddie jumped in front of Berry and quickly picked the biggest berries. "This bush is full of berries too," Dolly told the others. But the little potato beetle was faster again. By the time Dolly got to the bush, he'd already picked the best of the berries. "Eddie, that's not fair. Don't pick all the berries," the little ladybird complained. Then the friends came to a stream. "Let's build a bridge over the stream," Flutter suggested. "And I know exactly how. Let's all go and bring that big log here." They had to work hard to pull the heavy log over the stream. The little friends made a super bridge together. "It's done," Flutter sighed. "Look, there's another blueberry bush with lots of berries on it." That was Eddie's cue. "I'm going to get there first. Those blueberries are all mine." he shouted triumphantly. But he pushed past Flutter so hard that she slipped and fell into the stream. Help! Don't worry, Flutter, hold on to me, Dolly shouted and stretched her hand out to the floundering butterfly. But the water flowed too fast and Flutter couldn't reach Dolly. Berry picked up a long stick. Grab the stick, Flutter, he shouted. But this didn't work either, because the river started to carry the little butterfly away. Eddie, help! We've got to pull poor Flutter out of the water, Dolly yelled, and they pulled the soggy butterfly out of the stream. Oh my, I'm so cold. I'm very, very cold. And my little wings are soaked through. Here, take my jumper. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry, Flutter, Eddie said. That's very nice of you, Dolly said, but you'll catch a cold too without your jumper. We should collect a large pile of leaves and wrap Flutter up in them. Berry, Dolly and Eddie gathered a big bunch of burdock leaves and covered the shivering butterfly with them. I'm still very cold and my wings don't work. Look, they're all wet and ruined. Flutter started to sob. The sun took pity on the weeping butterfly and came down close to warm her wings. Flutter's wings were soon beautifully dry and as good as new. Hooray! I'm all dry and warm at last. Thank you, sun, Flutter said with a smile. I'm so sorry, Flutter, Eddie said. I promise I won't pick all the blueberries next time. I want you to have all the ones that I've picked. Thank you, Eddie. Why don't we share them instead? Let's hurry home and bake a blueberry pie. The friends all walked back to Flutter's house and got to work straight away. They picked all the leaves off and gave the blueberries a good wash. Spoons stirred and pans clattered until the kitchen was filled with the sweet smell of delicious blueberry pie. The yummy dessert was soon ready. Stanley the stag beetle, Balthazar the bee and Bubble the baby beetle came along to join the feast. The forest friends all sat around the table and chatted late into the night. The Canary Chicks. One day Christopher the Canary met Chloe and they fell in love. Chloe lived in an oak tree not far away from Dolly's house. The new couple built a nest on the most beautiful branch of the tree. Berry and Dolly watched them building their nest from the ground. Look, Chloe's been sitting on the nest for days. Do you think she could be sick? The little snail asked. He was worried. No, Berry. I'm sure she's going to lay eggs and they'll hatch into canary chicks, Dolly told him enthusiastically. Eggs? Chicks? Berry was confused. Of course. Chloe will lay the eggs in the nest and she'll keep them warm until they hatch, the ladybird said. A few days later, Chloe stood up and as she was arranging things in the nest, Berry noticed 3 tiny eggs. 3! There'll be 3 chicks, he said to Dolly cheerfully. One morning they heard tweeting coming from the oak tree. Hooray! The chicks have hatched, Dolly exclaimed and gave Berry a big hug. Can we take a look at them? Dolly asked Christopher excitedly. Of course you can, but please be careful. They're still very tiny, the proud daddy replied. Christopher let Berry and Dolly hop on his back and he flew them up to the nest. They're so cute, Dolly whispered. The snail and the ladybird carefully patted the baby canaries. The little birds grew very quickly and they were soon ready for flying lessons. Chloe was their teacher and they got better day by day. "We've got to go and get some food. Be good," Christopher told the chicks one morning. "And don't even think about flying out of the nest without us. You're still very small and you can only fly with us," Chloe added. But the smallest chick was rather naughty. "Nonsense! I'm very good at flying. I'm going to try it on my own," he said, and jumped out of the nest. "You're not allowed! You're not allowed!" tweeted the other two, but they couldn't stop him. The two chicks were hopping nervously around the nest when their parents arrived back. "He flew off! Our little brother flew off!" they cried. "Oh dear, but he's too small. He could be in all kinds of trouble," Chloe cried. Berry and Dolly heard all the fuss and set out to find the naughty chick. They looked for him everywhere. On the hill, in the mountains, by the lake, in the forest and in the meadow. But he was nowhere to be found. It was getting dark. "How are we going to find him when it gets dark?" Chloe asked, and she started to sob. But then, little lights appeared in the sky. The fireflies had come to help them. "We can make light. We'll help you find him," they said. "There he is! There he is in the bush!" Berry shouted suddenly, and they all ran over. The little canary had fallen asleep in the bush. He was exhausted and shivering. Chloe took him in her wings and hugged him happily. "There you are. You should always do as you're told," Christopher said. Chloe flew back to the nest with her chick on her back, and the fireflies danced around them like stars in the sky. The canary family was soon back together again. "Good night, little chicks," Chloe whispered happily as she kept them warm under her wings. The Carnival. Winter was nearly over and the forest friends were sitting in Dolly's house. "It's time we started getting ready for the carnival," Flutter the butterfly said. "What are you going to dress up as?" Berry asked. "It's a secret," Flutter answered. "You have to keep your costume a secret so that we can surprise each other at the carnival."
"You're right. Let's go home and get started. We've only got a few days left,"
Balthazar said. Berry quickly made up his mind. He decided to dress up as a mushroom. He used a white sheet for a cape and made a hat out of a red bowl. He painted white dots on the bowl. Dolly made a flower costume. She cut leaves out of green paper and sewed them on a green blanket. That was her dress, and she made petals out of purple paper. Balthazar the bee and Betty the bumblebee worked together. Balthazar dressed up as a devil, and Betty dressed up as an angel. Bubble the baby beetle sat in his hammock and started to make his lion costume. The lights were on in every home in the forest on the night before the carnival. Everybody was working on their costume and busy preparing for the celebrations the following day. Then the big day arrived. The forest friends decided to have the carnival at Stanley's house. They all worked hard and decorated the stag beetle's home with coloured streamers and balloons. While this was going on, Rosita the rose beetle was busy making delicious cakes at her house. Dolly, Leapy and Eddie the potato beetle all lent a hand. Then the time came for them all to put their costumes on. Stanley dressed up as a dice and waited for his friends. The first to arrive were Berry and Dolly. He was dressed as a mushroom and she was dressed as a flower. Then Balthazar came as a little devil and Betty as an angel. with Flutter in a crab costume. Leapy looked just like a cactus. Bubble was dressed as a lion. Eddie was a chef. And Rosita was a bunch of grapes. Her dress was covered in shiny balloons. The firefly was dressed as a pencil. And the flea was an octopus. Sam came as a soldier. And one of the little ants was dressed up as a pancake. Suddenly, Zephyr the dragonfly burst in crying, "It's gone! My beautiful princess dress has disappeared! I washed it and I hung it out to dry, but the wind blew it away!" Zephyr sobbed, and the others tried to comfort her.
I don't need my soldier hat. I've got a sword,
Sam Snail suggested.
No, that's for boys. I had a lovely princess dress, but the wind blew it away.
We'll make you a new costume,
Leapy said.
a sun costume.
Zephyr liked this idea very much. This yellow curtain will make a great cape, Dolly shouted.
And these yellow pieces of paper can be the sun's rays,
Stanley said, and took some of the streamers down. They cut, glued, sewed and stitched, and the beautiful sun costume was ready in no time.
I can lend you my little lantern. A pencil doesn't really need a lantern,
laughed the firefly.
Thank you,
Zephyr said. She was so happy she blushed. The forest friends danced and sung all night and agreed Zephyr had the most special costume of all. As what could be more special than a sun that shone at night? The Big Spider. Berry, Dolly, Flutter and Balthazar were gathering colourful leaves in the woods when they heard someone crying. Can you hear something, Berry? Dolly asked.
Yes, it's coming from the cave.
The friends were frightened, but went deeper and deeper into the dark cave. Then they saw where the noise was coming from. A baby beetle sat crying. Oh dear, what's wrong, baby beetle? Why are you crying?
I got lost in this dark cave and I can't find my way out. How am I going to get back to my little house?
What's your name? Berry asked.
Bubble.
Come on, don't be sad, Bubble. We'll show you the way to your house, Dolly said and hugged the baby beetle. Suddenly, they heard a scary sound from deep inside the cave. They hugged each other. All of a sudden, a big, angry spider appeared and shouted at them.
Who woke me up? What are you doing in my cave?
Run, everybody!
Balthazar yelled, and they all ran. Let's hide here, Dolly said, and they all hid behind a rock. Luckily, the spider didn't spot them, but then Bubble started crying, and the spider found their hiding place. Berry, Dolly, Bubble, Balthazar and Flutter ran as fast as they could. But oh dear, Balthazar tumbled over a stone and the big spider caught up with them. Berry grabbed a spiky twig and bravely defended his friends.
Go away, you ugly spider,
he shouted. Berry diverted the big spider's attention while Flutter and Balthazar ran around it with a length of thread. Dolly looked after little Bubble and kept him safe.
We've got you now,
Balthazar shouted triumphantly. The spider tried to get out of the tangle, but it couldn't. And then it started to cry.
I didn't want to hurt you.
I've never hurt anybody before. I was just mad because you woke me up. Please let me go. I'll show you the way out of the cave."
"Do you promise you really won't hurt us?" Berry asked.
"Yes, I promise. Climb on my back and I'll carry you out."
They all sat on the spider's back and were soon outside again. "It's time for us to say goodbye."
"Please come and see me again."
"Thank you for your help, Spider," Flutter said. Bubble had fallen asleep in the ladybird's arms. "What should we do with him?" puzzled Dolly. "Let's build a pram," Berry suggested, and they got to work immediately. They made him a pram out of a horse chestnut shell with wheels out of little logs. "But where does he live?" "I know," Flutter said. The baby beetle didn't wake up until they reached his house. "Oh, my little house. Have you brought me home? Thank you so much." "Good night, little Bubble." "Sleep tight and don't go into that cave all by yourself again because you'll get lost," Berry and Dolly said. Then they gave Bubble a hug.